The private dining room at the country club hummed with anticipation as Dad rose to speak. Crystal glasses chimed, pearls shimmered, and my sister Victoria's grin stretched impossibly wide, rivaling even the Cheshire Cat. As you all know, Dad began, I've decided it's time to hand over the reins of Henderson Global. After 30 years of building this company, I'm ready to announce my successor. I took a quiet sip of champagne, already anticipating what was coming. Victoria smoothed her tailored suit, practically buzzing with excitement. Victoria will be taking over as CEO, effective immediately. Applause erupted. Victoria stood gracefully, accepting congratulations while shooting me a victorious glance. Poor Eleanor, her eyes seemed to say. Always the disappointment next to Victoria. Mother lifted her glass. To the new head of the Henderson Empire. I glanced at my watch, a vintage Rolex that had raised eyebrows when I first brought it to a family gathering. Where did you get that? Victoria had asked. Nearly impossible to find. Oh, I have my ways, I had replied, just like I had my ways about plenty of things they didn't know. Eleanor, Dad's voice pulled me back. I know this might be hard for you. Not at all, I said, smiling. Victoria is the perfect choice. She's devoted her life to Henderson Global. Meanwhile, you've been doing what exactly? Victoria couldn't resist. All those mysterious business trips, those private consulting meetings. What was that about? Here and there, I said simply. My private phone buzzed in my hand. A secure line only 5 people in the world could access. I let it go to voicemail. Well, Victoria raised her glass. Here's to Henderson Global's bright future. Under my leadership, we'll crush the competition and dominate the market. I checked my watch again. Timing was perfect. Eleanor never had the killer instinct for business. Mother. Always too quiet about her work. My phone buzzed once more. This time I excused myself, stepping into the marble hallway. Is it done? I asked quietly. Yes, Madam CEO. My chief operations officer confirmed. The last holdout company signed 10 minutes ago. We now own controlling interest in every major competitor to Henderson Global. Excellent. Proceed with phase 2. I returned to the dining room just as Victoria was outlining her ambitious vision. We'll start by acquiring smaller competitors, then work our way up to the bigger players, she said. Ambitious, I murmured, settling back into my seat. Some of us have been planning this our entire lives, she shot back. Not everyone can coast by on mysterious consulting work. Dad cleared his throat. Now, girls, it's fine. I smiled. Victoria's right. She's perfect for Henderson Global. I glanced at my watch one last time. The timing couldn't be better. My phone buzzed again. This time, my chief legal officer. Final paperwork filed. Shadow Holdings now officially owns 51% of Henderson Global. I replied with one word, begin. Victoria continued holding court, describing her restructuring plans, when breaking news simultaneously hit everyone's phones. Breaking. Mystery Corporation acquires controlling interest in Henderson Global. The room went silent. What? Victoria grabbed her phone. This must be a mistake. Dad was already calling the legal team, his face pale. How is this possible? Who could have? I set down my champagne. That would be me. All eyes turned to me. You. Victoria laughed. Don't be ridiculous. You couldn't possibly. Shadow Holdings, I said calmly. Look up the CEO. Phones came out. Gasps followed. But that's one of the largest private corporations in the world. Dad stammered. Yes, I nodded. Starting with your smallest competitors, moving up exactly as Victoria planned, except we did it first. You're saying, Mother's voice trailed. I'm saying while Victoria climbed the ladder at Henderson Global, I was quietly building my own empire, one that now holds controlling interest in this company. Victoria's color drained. The mysterious meetings were with business leaders. Yes, the consulting work was acquiring their companies. Dad's understanding finally clicked. I stood smoothly. Shadow Holdings owns not only Henderson Global, but all of its major competitors. We control the entire market sector. You can't, Victoria started. Can't what? Run a global corporation. I asked, smiling. Funny. That's what you've been saying for years. I gathered my things. The board meeting is tomorrow at 9. Don't be late. You're firing me. Victoria's voice rose. Of course not. You're still CEO. You just report to me now. I smiled. The quiet sister no one took seriously. She's your boss now. My phone buzzed one last time. Confirmation. The press release was going out. By morning, everyone would know the mysterious shadow holding CEO was Eleanor Henderson, the daughter they'd written off as unsuccessful. I have another meeting, I said, heading for the door. Corporate takeovers wait for no one. Oh, and Victoria, that corner office you've been dreaming about? I'll be needing that. I left them in stunned silence, their celebrations transformed into chaos. Sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't announcing your success, it's letting others celebrate first, then showing them what real success looks like. The next morning, I arrived early at Henderson Global headquarters, watching the media frenzy from my private elevator. Reporters swarmed the lobby, desperate to see the mysterious CEO behind the biggest corporate takeover of the decade. My phone buzzed with family messages. Mom, Eleanor, call us immediately. Dad, we need to talk. Victoria, you can't do this. I silenced them all as the elevator opened directly onto the executive floor. The corner office, Victoria's dream space, had already been transformed to my specifications. Sleek, minimal, walls lined with real-time screens displaying Shadow Holdings' global operations. Good morning, Madam CEO. My executive assistant greeted. The board is assembled, and your sister is quite vocal about the situation. I can imagine, I smiled, setting down my briefcase. How many board members have realized it yet? That you've owned their companies for months? About half. The rest are still in shock, she replied. My secure phone buzzed again, a message from my global operations director. Asian markets responding positively, European markets opening strong. Victoria burst into my office, her designer suit slightly skewed. How long? How long have you been planning this? Planning for years, I said. Executing. And just like that, the quiet daughter everyone underestimated had become the unstoppable force behind the largest corporate takeover in a generation. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more dramatic stories of power, revenge, and unexpected victories. I checked my Rolex about 18 months ago, right around the moment you informed the board I supposedly lacked business sense. While climbing the ranks at Henderson Global, I was quietly acquiring every surrounding company. I had woven a net so tight, it remained invisible until it snapped shut. Dad's on his way, she warned, her voice tight. He's furious. Dad's retired, I reminded her calmly. His shares were part of the controlling interest I now owned. He could rage all he wanted, it wouldn't change a thing. My phone buzzed again. Stock prices rising. The market was clearly thrilled by the idea of consolidated leadership in the industry. The board meeting starts in 10 minutes, I said, gathering my files. Shall we? The boardroom fell silent as we entered. 24 of the industry's most influential executives, all suddenly aware they now answered to the daughter they dismissed as scatterbrained. Good morning, I said, taking my seat at the head of the table. Let's review the new corporate structure. This is outrageous, one board member exploded. You can't just check your shareholding agreements, I interrupted. You'll find that not only could I, but in most cases I did months ago. Victoria sank back in her chair as Dad stormed in. Eleanor, he began. Mr. Henderson, I cut him off formally. As you are no longer a shareholder, this meeting is closed to outside parties. Outside parties, he sputtered. I built this company and I bought it, I replied evenly, along with every major competitor in the market. Please close the door behind you. He froze, face reddening, as my secure phone buzzed once more. Another acquisition completed, a smaller tech firm we'd had our sights on. Turning back to the board, I said, let's discuss synergy. Victoria will continue as CEO of Henderson Global, reporting directly to the Shadow Holdings executive team, which means she reports to me. Victoria's pen snapped in her hand. Each of your companies will remain operationally independent while benefiting from shared resources and consolidated market power. My team has prepared detailed transition plans. Your team. Victoria cut in. Who exactly is your team? I smiled and pressed a button. Wall screens lit up with faces joining virtually from offices worldwide. Harvard graduates, McKinsey veterans, former Fortune 500 CEOs. While they'd been climbing the corporate ladder, I had been quietly building a global network. The mysterious business trips, she whispered, weren't so mysterious after all. Just classic empire building, I said. My phone buzzed again. Stock prices still climbing. The market recognized a well-executed takeover when it saw one. For those concerned about positions, I continued, everyone keeps their job for now. Performance reviews start next quarter. Victoria's face fell further. She understood what that implied. Her leadership would now be scrutinized more than ever. Quarterly reports will now flow through Shadow Holdings. My team has prepared new reporting templates. Your team? She repeated, incredulous. All this time, I said, while you thought I was unfocused, drifting, I was focused on something far bigger than one company. I concluded, sometimes the best way to take over an empire is to build an even bigger one around it. After that, the meeting ran efficiently. Years of running Shadow Holdings had taught me how to command rooms full of powerful people. By the end, even Victoria was taking notes. One final matter, I said as we wrapped up. The corner office? Victoria asked softly. Obviously, I replied. Actually, I'll be taking the entire top floor. Shadow Holdings' local headquarters needs the space. As the board filed out, Victoria lingered. Why didn't you tell us all these years? Would we have believed you? The quiet sister, the mysterious meetings, the private phone calls, I said. You would have dismissed it, just as you dismissed everything else I did that didn't fit your narrow definition of success. My phone buzzed once more. Another acquisition target. The empire continued to grow. The family dinner is tonight, Victoria said. Will you come? Of course, I smiled, gathering my things. Someone has to explain to Mother why her social circle is buzzing about her formerly unsuccessful daughter becoming one of the most powerful CEOs in the world. At the private dining room in Lasserk, the space felt smaller, maybe because the power dynamics had shifted so dramatically. Mother sat stiffly in her designer dress, her phone constantly buzzing with messages about her daughter's sudden rise. Dad kept fussing with his tie, a man trying to solve a puzzle with half the pieces missing. Victoria, for once, remained silent. The oysters are excellent, I offered. Breaking the tension, I glanced at my family. My chef at Shadow Holdings recommended these dishes, I said. Your chef, my mother repeated, her voice tinged with weekly habit at the global corporate headquarters. One of them, I corrected. We have offices in 12 countries. My secure phone buzzed. Another acquisition target flagged in Southeast Asia. I mentally noted to review it later. How? Dad finally exploded. How did none of us see this coming? I dabbed my lips with a napkin. You saw exactly what you expected to see. The quiet daughter who never quite fit the Henderson mold. It never crossed your mind, I continued, that I might be building something bigger than Henderson Global? Those private equity meetings, Victoria spoke slowly, measuring each word. 3 years ago, when you kept flying to Singapore, we're actually about acquiring our first major tech conglomerate. I nodded. The same month you told the board I lacked ambition. Mother's phone buzzed again. The Wishes want to know if you'll speak at their economic forum next month. Eleanor, they've never invited our family before. That's because they now hold significant shares in companies I control, I explained. Funny how quickly social dynamics shift when power changes hands. The waiter arrived with our main courses, carefully portioned beef for them, a meticulously plated vegetarian option for me. You've changed your diet too, Mother observed. Years ago, I noticed. Hard to negotiate with Indian tech magnates if you can't share their traditional meals. I smiled. Details matter in global business. Victoria pushed her food around. The board meeting today, those executives you brought in virtually, some of the brightest minds in business. I nodded. They didn't care about the Henderson name or family ties. They cared about vision and execution. While we were all focused on a single company, Dad said quietly, you were building an empire. Something like that. My phone buzzed again. Stock prices climbing. The market adored a well-executed power play. What happens now? Mother asked. To the family legacy, I assured her. The Henderson name stays on the building. Victoria keeps her CEO title, but the real authority belongs to Shadow Holdings. Victoria's eyes narrowed slightly. To you, the quiet sister who vanished on mysterious business trips? I confirmed. Yes, I built something so vast it could engulf Henderson Global. Dad cleared his throat. Those consultants you hired last year, they were assessing Henderson Global's acquisition value. I nodded. While you were preparing to hand Victoria the keys to the kingdom, I was calculating exactly what that kingdom was worth. My secure phone buzzed with urgency. Another major tech company exposed for acquisition. I tapped a quick reply. Proceed with analysis, then return to my meal. The Rolex, Victoria said suddenly. The one we all questioned? That was a gift from the CEO of Singapore's largest tech firm after we acquired his company. I confirmed. He appreciated the discretion with which we handled the takeover. All those worries about my career, Mother began. I finished for her. I was busy building something that would eventually own the family business. Dessert arrived, elaborate pastries for them, a simple espresso for me. I have another board meeting in an hour, I said, glancing at my watch. Global operations don't pause for family dinners, Eleanor. Dad leaned forward. What you've accomplished, it's extraordinary. Thank you, I said softly, though I recall your initial words when I started. Unfocused, lacking direction. Victoria flinched. We were wrong. Yes, I agreed. You were. My phone buzzed one final time. Asian markets opening strong. Another successful day for Shadow Holdings. Will you still come to family events? Mother asked suddenly. Now that you're one of the world's most powerful CEOs? I smiled. Of course. Someone has to keep Victoria updated on her new corporate overlords. Victoria managed a small laugh. I suppose I deserve that. You deserve the opportunity to lead Henderson Global, I said seriously. Just under new ownership. Prove yourself, and opportunities within Shadow Holdings could follow. You'd give me that chance, she asked. After how we treated you. I built this empire by recognizing talent, not holding grudges. I stood, gathering my things. Show me what you can do with Henderson Global, and we'll discuss larger opportunities. Eleanor, Dad called as I turned toward the door. We were wrong about you about everything. Yes, I said again, quietly smiling. Being underestimated has its perks. Just ask the companies that never saw Shadow Holdings coming until it was too late. I left them with their coffee and their revelations. Stepping into my waiting car, my phone buzzed again, updates from global operations, acquisitions to consider, more empires to build. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more stories like this, where power, strategy, and family collide.